We're both in the room. Welcome to the first podcast of As Yet To Be Named.
Yeah, untitled podcast so far.
Untitled podcast.
Not got a name. It doesn't need a name. Maybe it might never have a name.
I think once we get established as a brand and it becomes absolutely massive across the world,
yeah,
and
maybe
it's translated in numerous languages, I think, it's going to need a name.
Maybe there'll be a competition where people phone in, or just phone either of our telephone numbers on a daily basis, giving us names. I'd like that, to be honest. People constantly hassling me.
It's always a risk when you get the public involved there.
Yeah. I'd like it to reach that level.
But we should acknowledge that we've already done a podcast. We did a pilot about 5 minutes ago, which was about half an hour long, and it turned out just Tom speaking to himself. So, but now you've got both of us, and we're fully warmed up.
Which I think is probably better.
I'm ready to chat some shit.
It did cross my mind that we could just do it, just me talking to myself, because I'm that full of myself.
It was sounding really good. He's got a very microphonic voice.
It's a rich baritone that I practice on a daily basis, yeah.
So you've been practicing for these podcasts for a while now?
No, just practicing my voice, generally.
Yeah, in the mirror or in a really echoey room?
Just like listening to it.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, yeah. Every so often when I get the chance, in a quiet room, yeah, I'll just talk to myself, try and perfect the good rich baritone, the velvety tones that I've got going on.
Have you ever thought about doing ASMR?
What's that?
I don't actually know what it stands for. If you could quickly look it up while I talk about it though.
I will do.
ASMR is, I'm sure a lot of listeners will know, or you will know it by now after listening to Tom's velvety baritone voice, as he says. It's basically somebody with such a tone in their voice. Whisperings are also classified as ASMR.
Right.
Basically, some people get like a tingly feeling, or like a euphoric sensation from listening to people.
Right.
So
like Barry White, basically.
Well, maybe not Barry White.
Well, that's gonna.
There's some better actors and speakers who I feel.
Yeah, like Patrick Stewart or.
Yeah.
It stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
it's a real mouthful, isn't it? That sounds something very scientific.
Very scientific indeed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the angle we could take with the podcast, science.
I wouldn't know, because I'll let myself down instantly.
You look like a scientific man.
Why? I'm not wearing glasses or a lab coat.
Well, I don't need those stereotypes, Tom. I can see a scientific man. I mean, you're drinking Merlot for a start. What's not science about that?
It was £5.49, I think.
Oh, come on, you're letting yourself down now.
No, I'll be honest about it, though. It's Hardy's. If there's any way of getting people to buy anything, then just via this, then I suppose I would recommend Hardy's Merlot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really good. It's cheap and it does the job. We should
hard on the liver. Hardy's.
We should get proper introductions out of the way, really. I think in the last attempt, I said that we met each other in the Falklands War. I think I want to say that again, because I still think it's true. That's where I remember you from.
Tom just came up with a beautiful skit, but yeah, I love it. Yeah, Falklands War.
Yeah, I think our combined kill spree was around 50.
I think, maybe about 55.
Yeah.
I got a couple of indirect kills.
Yeah.
Through telekinesis.
Yeah, I was the more samurai sword type of killing guy.
You was, yeah.
I was a real nutcase, but it's all behind us now. But I had a good time, and then we in the first attempts at this, we did go into. I think we were sort of singing Margaret Thatcher's praises a bit, weren't we? I won't do that again.
Beautiful woman. Yeah.
But, yeah, I basically said, despite all her evils, I had a good time in the Falklands, and that's all that matters. And that's what I want people to take away from that, really.
But it's a bit of a sadistic character.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the battlefield with that samurai sword, I mean, it's not normal gear that the British Army give you as a samurai sword, but Tom managed to get one, and man.
Well, you do what you do in war, don't you? Really?
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I can't put it better than that.
Once again, Nath's enlightened me a little bit about the Falklands War. I didn't know a lot about it. I wasn't even sure if there was any death toll at all. There was. People did die. Most of them were down to me.
Yeah, I'm Nath, by the way.
Yeah, we didn't even do that the first time. We didn't even say our names at all, did we? We just sort of basically said that we fought in the Falklands and that was it.
Yeah, and then just went off on a complete tangent.
Yeah. Do you need to say your names though? That's it's like a British thing, isn't it?
You've got to connect with the listener. So,
in a way, yeah.
I suppose a name. You've got to put a name to the face that they're imagining.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got our voices.
Yeah.
So I mean, your voice and your name. So I don't believe you said your name yet. But
I'm
if
Tom.
we could,
For some reason, I don't like saying my name. It's never struck me before, but I don't. I just said it then. And it doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
I don't think my name is Tom at all. Really. It is, but I don't know if I really like it. I might change it, to be honest.
But you can always put that spin on it, can't you? You can always put that Tommy S.
No, yeah.
Or
Tommy is one that comes.
Tomo's a good one.
Tommy is something that comes up now and again, not often. So, if we consult the list of things that we were going to talk about, we'll go back to nomadic living again because we did have a good thing going on.
Yeah, for our thousands and thousands of listeners, we was in the recording where it's just Tom talking to himself. We did start talking about nomadic lifestyles.
Yeah.
It was a good conversation, so hopefully we can recreate the magic.
Yeah, the premise of that was that initially I wanted to talk about Brexit and the current state of UK politics and lead on to nomadic living as a solution to that, but then I didn't really want to actually go into Brexit at all because it's a heavy subject to go into instantly. So, yeah, the reason I put nomadic living on the list is that I saw a video on YouTube of someone living as a nomad and it did intrigue me, and I thought that Nath might know something about it, and this is before I came round to his house and realised he had a massive beard and long hair, and suddenly it's all very fitting.
Yeah, it's basically just walked in and assumed that long hair and a large beard instantly means that you're able to understand on another level how to build fires and stick houses. And I'm going to have to say, Tom, that I think I am that man.
Yeah,
I've watched a few YouTube videos myself. I've absorbed them.
So you have. So you didn't say that the first time. You didn't say that you'd actually gone to that length.
Well, now I've changed my mind, Tom. I've learned from the last time, and
so you've been more honest now.
Yeah.
Right.
The pressure's off. I'm fully relaxed, and I'm open to new experiences.
Yeah, so in the video I watched, there was this weird guy on the border of autism or on the spectrum itself who was going into great detail and length about what it is to be living off the grid, and he had this notepad that he was constantly consulting, but the main theme of everything he said was really surrounding the fear he had of being discovered by the council, and that was the real problem that he had amongst others, but that was the main one.
The old council Gestapo.
Yeah. But
I found if you don't have an address or a postcode, they can't send you the letters. If they can't send you the letters, they can't send the bailiff. Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that nomad?
But because he was so worried about the council, I think like what we said the first time, it just looked like he wasn't living that far away from other people, really. I think if the council were that susceptible to discovering what you're doing, then yeah, you're pretty nearby, aren't you, probably? So you're probably just behind someone's garden in a field. Probably.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, you say this track was on YouTube.
Mm.
Yeah. It's because usually if I typed nomadic into YouTube or nomadic living or how to nomadic live or those keywords that surround nomad, then I would expect somebody out in the wilderness in out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when you type nomad in, you don't expect somebody in the local park
No,
telling
you
you
don't.
how
I mean, to be that worried about the council, he obviously is quite close to some neighbourhood, isn't he? Probably. I don't know. Because like I say, it's the convenience of being able to go to a shop nearby and things like that. You think, unless you're growing your own veg and have your own livestock and things like that, you need to still maybe be near a Tesco or something like that. It's just a necessity, and you can't escape that. But is that still living off the grid if you go into a shop and buying your groceries? In a way, but where are you getting your money from?
The way
Can you still work?
Yeah, because off grid just means you're off the grid. So
Yeah.
the gas and the electric.
Yeah, you're not
grid.
paying any bills basically.
Yeah. So if you get some
How are you getting paid for your job though? You need a bank account,
cash in hand.
cash in hand. How many jobs pay cash in hand?
Yeah, knock off DVDs. Get a market. Make,
Yeah.
I
So
think
you're going down Sunday market, Wednesday market every week, and that's your living.
Yeah, but you associate nomadic living with making things.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were stuck in Tesco's car park, living the nomadic lifestyle, off grid, you'd start making things, wouldn't you? You'd start creating. You'd start.
So, yeah, you get into your joinery or something like that. So you start making shelving units for people, let's say.
Yeah.
On top of my head. So you're on the corner of someone's street selling little wooden things you've knocked together in your spare time because you've got nothing better to do. And you're selling them at a high price, basically, because it's your only source of income.
Yeah.
I would be terrible as a nomad. It's got to be said.
It would be interesting. What skill could you bring to that? What would you
Nothing.
sell?
Nothing at all. I couldn't
there must
do
be
it.
something that you can create to sell in a pinch. You, like you say, you're out on the bones of your backside, living the
lifestyle. Living
the
the so-called
lifestyle.
dream.
The dream, yeah, the American dream.
It's far from the American dream. The opposite of the American dream.
Oh, can we go on a tangent on the American dream? Because do you know what the American dream is?
I always thought it was just capitalist heaven. We all just absorb consumer capitalism and everybody's happy.
Well,
and that's the American dream.
The American dream was in the west of America. It was a lot of land at the time. So we're talking about over 100 years
the
ago
original idea
of the American
right?
dream.
So yeah, I was
so
thinking like more of a modern idea. Has the American dream changed over time?
I would agree.
Yeah,
I think the term has changed.
surely.
But a lot of people migrated for the American dream.
Yeah.
And the American dream essentially was buying a house out in the middle of nowhere in the west, part of mainland America. So you buy a house and the government would give you quite a lot of land with it.
Right.
So it was this idea, and it links back to this idea of nomadic living.
Yeah, so you're talking about Europeans doing that basically, and saying it.
Europeans and Americans themselves, so they'd buy a plot of land very, very cheap, build a house on it, and then what a lot of them found out is that the land was it wasn't arable, it was shit.
They knew nothing basically. They went out there hoping
It's not
that
the fact that they knew nothing about growing, it's the fact that the land was so bad that you couldn't grow
barren.
anything on it.
Yeah.
And
there's loads
this
of
is what
Native
crushed.
Americans sat there chuckling.
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
Yeah.
They knew how to exploit
You
land.
came over here, filled us full of disease, and now we're giving you a lot of shit land, and we're all laughing for it. But in the end, they were all killed.
Yeah.
Or nearly all killed.
In the end, it doesn't even matter.
No.
The famous words of Chester Bennington, Benningfield.
Daniel now
Benningfield.
dead Linkin Park vocalist. Would you ever be someone who lives out on their own accord without bills? Be a nomad? Would you ever do that?
It has crossed my mind. I think it's crossed everyone's mind. I think everyone loves that idea of being out in the middle of nowhere.
Does everyone really love that? I don't think certain people it would ever occur to. I don't think, because I think if you're that much of an extrovert, if you love dealing with people and your life that much, you're probably never going to think about abandoning everything and going living on a small island somewhere. Whereas some people are more susceptible to that, myself included, on a daily basis.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that, because I mean, you probably got some Instagram influencers that are thinking, right, I'd absolutely love, to live out on a beach in a hut on an island.
Yeah, it depends how you went about it. I think like everyone likes the idea of living on some lovely tropical island somewhere, but is that nomadic living, or is that just you having an ideal life on an island? I don't know. I don't know what I'm even talking about.
You've got to work for it, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
This is the thing. You've got this ideal where you're unrestrained by any bureaucracy. You've not got your council tax. You've not got people chasing you for bills.
In a way, yeah, that must cross everybody's mind. Every time you pay your bills and you look at your bank statement, you must think, it'd be nice if I was free of all this, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Why do I have to pay council tax? Why do I have to pay for water? It's ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous.
But if you get rid of water, you've got to make your own sanitary system.
Yeah.
You've got to rely on rainwater.
Yeah.
You've got to chop your own firewood. It's basically a full-time job being nomadic.
It is, yeah.
So,
basically, I hate them all. All the nomads out there, I fucking hate you all. I think you're all dicks. Because you've done something that shouldn't even be possible, and you've achieved it. And most of you probably live in fear, like the bloke on YouTube that I saw, that you've been going to be discovered one day by the council and exposed for what you are as a freak to society. And I hope you die.
There's a turn of jealousy in your voice.
Yes, that is what it is, yeah. Yeah, that's another question, yeah. If someone's posting videos giving instructions on how to live as a nomad on YouTube, you're going to be discovered. It's that's really weird, actually. It suggests that it's not even real.
If he's nomadic, how's he pumping out YouTube videos?
I don't know, presumably he had a friend. He's still allowed friends because he makes his own rules. And he had this friend round and he recorded him talking about how he lives. He's actually full of himself.
Here, mate, can you film this and put it on YouTube?
Yeah. I've got to the point now where I'm literally masturbating over my own success every day, and I want you to record me talking about how great I've done all this. And I'm going to try and come across as quite shy and a little bit reserved about it, but in actual fact, I'm fucking buzzing. Yeah,
I'm going to question the link between success and masturbation there. Is that something that you...
Masturbating over yourself in the height of your own success?
Yeah. Is that something that...
It's an idea. It's not something I've done.
An idea?
But
a theory? A concept?
It's a nice idea, isn't it? Imagine being that full of yourself, that happy with what you've achieved, that you occasionally knock one out, think just over the idea that you've done well.
Well, I think there's a level of arrogance that you need to hit.
A massive, a huge level.
I think you've got to question what you mean by success. I mean, we're successful now, if you think about it.
It's down to the individual, isn't it?
We're on the way to success.
Perception,
so does that give me the right to masturbate, even though we've not hit success
If
yet?
you want to do that now, that's fine.
We're in the initial stages of success and stardom and celebrity power and influence. Does that give me the right to masturbate?
In a way, I think we live in a society now where if you were to masturbate in front of people in the name of your own success, that would be completely fine and accepted, and then other people would be judged more so for trying to tell you not to. Maybe. Do we live in that society? I don't know.
Society.
Anyway, we've sort of definitely done nomad to death. Anyway, that's exhausted as a subject.
Well, I hope you've all enjoyed that nomadic talk and got the answers that you needed.
I don't know really what I want anyone to take away from that. Do I want other people to consider nomadic living? No, not really. Mostly because I'd be jealous of you, and I want to do it and couldn't do it. Yeah, I think that's the truth of the situation.
I like the idea of having the best of both worlds. So basically, just having a tent at the bottom of the garden.
Yeah.
And maybe weekends, you know.
Yeah, just sort of partial nomadic living like that. Sorry, not partial. Sorry, part-time.
Part-time nomadic living.
Yeah.
Maybe go out in my Birkenstocks every now and again in my pants.
Yeah. And everyone thinks, he could live off the grid if he tried. If he just pushed a bit further. The other thing I had on that list was homelessness, which I suppose is linked in a way, isn't it? Because have you got a home?
Nomad.
Yeah, but moving away from the subject, homelessness is in itself a massive problem for the country and every country, I suppose. I don't know where I wanted to go with this at all and why I have it on the list. Have you got anything to add on homelessness, or should we just abandon that straight away?
Well, there's some. I feel there's some inside you.
No, I know why.
Bubbling.
Yeah, because sorry, go on. There's
No,
something.
sorry, I feel there's something bubbling inside you
there is,
regarding homelessness.
Yeah, it was something I saw on Facebook the other day. It was on a picture of old Hull. I'm a part of this group on Facebook that's occasionally posts pictures of Hull from a long time ago in black and white. And there was one at town centre, and it was where BHS was.
Yeah.
But
That's British Home Stores for
anyone
people
who doesn't
don't
know. Yeah, because it's
they've gone
now fucked.
Defunct,
Yeah.
Liquidised.
And some woman put a comment saying, "Nice to see it without any bloody spice heads and all that, fucking homeless bastards." And a friend of mine protested and said, there were still homeless people back then. They maybe not there, but it was still a problem. And she kicked off quite to some extent, and felt victimised as well. She played the victim card in the comment section. Yeah. It was all an ugly scene, basically. But it's always been there, homelessness, hasn't it? I suppose people were taking spice in the 1950s, but they were heroin was probably still around. It was, I don't know, was heroin around in the 1950s? Is that a fairly modern drug?
I think quite a lot of them are modern.
Opium's been around for centuries, hasn't it? Yeah, people were smoking opium for a long, long time, but in heroin, as we know it now, probably wasn't in abundance in the 1950s. I wouldn't have thought. Yeah, yeah,
classic.
Yeah, like a delicacy.
In the past 120 years, a majority of drugs have been synthesized.
Yeah,
I mean, like cocaine as a pharmaceutical. I mean, I'm sure in South America they was using cocoa leaves back with the whatever tribes, but cocaine, amphetamines covers quite a lot actually.
Yeah,
amphetamines covers your speed, and ecstasy comes under amphetamines as well. So
ecstasy is an offshoot of MDMA, isn't it? It's still connected to.
It's still classed as
Is MDMA classed as amphetamine as well?
Yeah.
Right, really.
Yeah. And it's like an umbrella term.
Yeah.
There's loads of different chemical structures for it.
Yeah, but I thought amphetamine was just the latter end of methamphetamine. I thought it was a full term.
It is a form of amphetamine.
Right. Okay, so it's its own category, but also methamphetamine is its own drug. That's the full name for meth, isn't it? Oh no, sorry.
Quite possibly, yeah. Methylated.
Yeah, meth is a shortened word for something longer.
Yeah. But they do call all
Just
come
trying to
under
think back to
amphetamine.
Breaking Bad, basically. It's been a while since I watched it.
But if you said, do you fancy going out for a couple of pills, people would be more inclined. But if somebody turned around and said, do you fancy like fucking smoking a bit of meth, then you'd be like, I might pass on that one.
Yeah, it's a bit harsh, isn't it?
And but they're slightly different structures, chemical structures, I believe. So they have different effects.
Yeah, the amount of lab-made drugs out there is quite large, isn't it? The 2C family and the story behind that, I think that was just one lone weird scientist put together his own drug, and that became the 2C family, 2CI, 2CB, and whatever else.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it that I've never come across. But
did they synthesize it for any particular use?
Probably. It's MDMA was made for good reasons, wasn't it? It was a case of people trying to cure depression and things like that. As far as I can remember, I don't know. But the 2C family, I can't say definitely it was for good reasons. It might not have been. if you're someone who's very clued up in the lab and you've got all the chemicals at your disposal, all these things, and you know exactly what you're doing, who's to say it's good or bad, your intention, really? I don't know.
Well, I think you need a good understanding of chemical structure and chemistry in order to have the cojones to try it. Because I mean, the story about the 2C family is very similar to the lysergic acid diethylamide, which is where basically some chap synthesized it and took a pipette of it, and he thought he was taking a very small dose, so he was taking it in the milligrams, but you often dose it in the micrograms. So this fellow who synthesized it took it in the micrograms, was off his tits for quite a while.
That's the thing with acid, isn't it? Sometimes people get bad acid and they keep on taking more and more of it, trying to heighten the effect. But you're not going to heighten the effect, you're just prolonging the experience. So you're just having a long shit acid experience. But from what I know of the 2C family, none of it's good. None of it. It just seems like a designer bum drug. I think that's the name it was dubbed by a friend of mine when it was rife in Hull.
The way I've seen it being served, or delivered, or administered, is out of a Lucozade bottle with the label ripped off.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, that's how
it was like this clear liquid that smelt a bit like chlorine water, and you get a capful. You buy it by the capful, and you just get a little cap of it, and it's liquid. I think it was 2CB. A little cap of it, and you just pop it.
2CB was the only way I've seen it is in powder, but I don't suppose there's any reason why it shouldn't be a liquid as well, because you could change it.
Yeah.
But 2CI was a liquid for me.
2CI was a liquid. Or maybe it was 2CI then.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, you can liquefy these things, can't you? I've seen ketamine as a liquid, and then you would...
Well, I suppose any powder you can mix, can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, put it in a cup of tea.
Yeah. Ketamine tea. That's a horrible thought, isn't it? Imagine that. Christ.
Ketamine tea.
So yeah, going back to homelessness, on the subject of drugs as well, I suppose spice is the drug of choice at the moment, and from what I can tell of it, having never done spice, thankfully, and never will, it's a nice way of passing the time for people who are homeless. I watched, I think it was probably a Vice documentary on all these homeless people in Manchester. You might have seen it.
I hadn't seen it, but I know the Vice documentaries have got some good credibility to them, actually.
Yeah, there was this one on homelessness in Manchester and the amount of people taking spice there. They do it just to exclude some hours from their own life. They say, I pass out and I don't know what happens for maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then I come to again and it's back to the abysmal. So it's like a voluntary coma in a way. So it's like, I'll take a break from this. I'll do a bit of spice. But in the meantime, you're laid there unconscious, probably getting raped by another homeless person. So it has its drawbacks.
Is that you describing the pecking order and the mechanics of?
I don't know. Too much of me sort of illustrated spice as a convenient good thing there, and I wanted to kind of draw back on it and say, no, you're probably getting raped as well. That having never done it, I can't really say what it's like. I think Ross Kemp did it recently. I swear I saw something.
Ross Kemp is the man.
Yeah,
he is a brilliant.
Because he went through a long period of doing a lot of documentaries.
He survived that car crash in that. Sure. Do you remember it?
No. What car crash?
Is it EastEnders or?
Oh yeah, that was EastEnders. Yeah, he's hard. Yeah, you're right. He survived that car crash in EastEnders. Sorry. Yeah, no doubt about that. He might have been in the SAS, which stands for Super Army Soldier. Anyway. Yeah, because he did a lot of documentaries.
That was a fucking brilliant show. I know which one you're on about now.
Extras? What?
Not extras. Ross Kemp was in a...
On Gangs, sorry, yeah.
Not on Gangs. This was another fictional one. He played an SAS team leader. Team leader of an SAS true.
I don't say that. No, I mean, what
Watch
that
it, it's
Super
brilliant.
Army Soldier is a reference to when he was in Extras. You know, the Ricky Gervais series.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it ends up. I think it's on the first episode of the first series. It's Ross Kemp, and he's just being Ross Kemp basically.
Yeah.
Plays himself, but like a version of himself, and explains that the SAS in his mind stands for Super Army Soldiers. Yeah. But yeah, it's come back after a long hiatus, as far as I can tell, to do documentaries, and in the most recent one, as far as I know, he takes Spice. So that's going to be interesting.
He
isn't
actually
it?
takes Spice.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think
Good
it was.
on him.
Yeah, it was probably Lad Bible or something like that was the one to give it away. So that'll definitely be interesting. But it's a prison drug as well, isn't it? They all do it in prison, Spice. Presumably, in a way, for the same reason. He's killing time.
Yeah. It's you go to sleep, you wake up, and then
It's crap, isn't it? You think
and
if
then
all you want to do is just kill some time, and there's no other good benefit from it, that's shit, isn't it? At least give something back to people, some kind of hallucination or something. But I suppose if that's all you can get hold of in prison, then fair enough. Or on the street as well.
interestingly, because we're recording live from a beautiful city called Hull. We have a prison called, what is it called?
Hull Prison, I think. Yeah, what on Heading Road?
Hull Prison.
Yeah, I think it is just Hull Prison. Yeah.
But I think our main man, he's got a film made after him, the artist.
Oh,
Bronson.
Yeah, it's Bronson.
Bronson. Was he? He was in. Hull.
He was in Hull
in the
for
80s,
a short time. Yeah.
When he got up on the roof and started throwing fucking tiles off.
Yeah.
But yeah, where was I going with the story? Yeah, they found out that there was flying drugs in on fucking drones
Yeah.
into Hull prison.
I think that's quite a common occurrence in prisons now, isn't it? Like people
Yeah.
get hold of a drone quite easily from the Argos catalogue and send drugs over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bastards with drones, they're a big problem, aren't they? Because they're interfering with airport security and things like that. I don't know why that happened, actually. You know, it was in the news not so long ago that there was a lot of drones that interfered with air traffic at some airport in the UK.
Yeah.
Why? Why did that happen? Why? What possessed someone to fly a drone onto an airfield? For a laugh?
Well, I think there's maybe certain types of people that think a bad idea is a brilliant idea, people like proof, the real world proof.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it
The
was
solid
probably...
proof. I mean, an idea in your head. I mean, you could be happy with that idea in your head. You know it's a bad idea. You're not going to act upon it. You're happy with it just being in your head. But maybe there's people out there that go, right, that's a bad idea.
I'm going to do it.
I need to.
I'm going to do it. I have to do it.
we are advocates of science. You need to test that bad idea.
I
It's
think
a bad
it was,
idea
it
unless
was
you've tested
probably an online community like Reddit or something like that. Because I'm not on Reddit, but I know what it entails. No, if not Reddit, there's other websites that have sort of been and gone that are of that nature, where you're in this sordid online community where people talk about these awful things, about the effects they could have on society as a whole, and getting away. Like 4chan. 4chan used to be massive.
Yeah.
And other websites like that, where the aim of the game really was to do something that fucking awful that it would get on public news, and that would be a real win for the website. Like, look at what we've done. We've got together, we've come up with this idea, and it's become public news. So, in a way, flying a drone onto an airfield sounds like something that they might have come up with. I don't know. Or it could be just some dickhead. I don't know.
But does that dampen shows like Jackass?
Well, they've been and gone now, aren't they? I mean, if you're going to kick people in the balls on a camera and expect to be famous for it, it's not going to work anymore. It's like Jackass did its thing. What was the British equivalent? The Welsh lot? Dirty Sanchez
Was there a New Zealand lot as well?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's old news now, isn't it? A bunch of lads who staple the balls to stuff and things like that. It's not that great anymore. It might make a comeback. Who's to say? But Jackass is probably still on the verge of making another film. I think I read that the other day that they're talking about making Jackass 4.
Interesting. Yeah, I think its time has been and gone, like you said. Actually,
yeah,
I think it has been
probably should be. Yeah, because Ryan Dunn's dead and Steve-O's now ridiculously sober and full of himself.
Yeah,
Bam Margera is a fucking mess. I don't know. If you follow him on Instagram, you get some idea of just how fucked up he is. Yeah, it's just a fucking mess. He's just embarrassing himself on a public level on a daily basis, or when he feels like it anyway. It's often enough to know that it's a fucking mess. So they probably shouldn't make a fourth film at all. Cinema is cinema, though. They'll always make a film where there's any possibility of making any money. Jackass will always sell because it's Jackass. It's a massive brand.
Yeah.
I think, well, just enough of them are still alive and just able to go and throw themselves in a pool full of sharks. So we'll do that. I saw the trailer for the new Ghostbusters film earlier on. And I've never been a big fan of Ghostbusters at all, really. I think it was a bit before our time, really. The first ones probably came out.
Is it 80s? I think they came out.
I would think it was 80s.
The original ones.
It was
the original ones are brilliant.
Yeah,
I know
probably,
that a new one came out that they used
with all the women,
actors,
and that received bad praise,
bomb.
Bad review, sorry. But now they've made one that follows on from the original story, and it's supposed to be relatives of the original cast in the middle of nowhere, and suddenly some ghosts turn up, and Paul Rudd's in it for no reason.
Suddenly some ghosts turn up.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty disappointing if they didn't.
Yeah, it'd be weird, wouldn't it? Imagine a ghost.
I mean, if there's no ghosts to bust.
Yeah, you watched it for 2 hours waiting for some
ghosts. What the fuck's going to bust if there's no ghosts?
And Paul Rudd sat there talking shit for all that time. You think, fucking hell, what a waste of money this was. I mean, I thought the all-female cast one was bad, but this takes the piss. It's just unbelievable. But, yeah, as long as you put that name, that title, fucking hell, on a film, it's still going to make money regardless because people are loyal to it.
Just like our viewers are loyal to our podcast. I think it's a natural place to go for a smoke. Well, I'm saying this anyway, unless Tom wants to talk through the break. Is that, yeah?
Oh, no, I'm not talking.
I think Tom's got a few stories to tell. No? You sure?
No, I've talked enough.
We're going to take a quick break. I say a quick break, it's going to be like a split second for you, but for us, maybe about 10 minutes. So, back in a minute. Right, we're back from the green room. Tom's had a little cry.
I've cried it all out, yeah.
He's cried it
good,
all out.
A good 10 minutes solid crying. I feel better for it. In front of the mirror.
Loads of hugs, loads of smiles, very little eye contact. It was alright.
It's awkward now, but we're trying to rise above it. I've got a gin with a little bit of lemon cordial and water, and it tastes just like lemon cordial with water without any gin, and that's easy to drink. But that's the price to pay for drinking wine so fast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which takes us to the subject of alcohol, which is another one on the list of things that I wanted to discuss with you. I think it's a good topic because really we had that pipe dream, didn't we, where we were going to do our own beer, and it never really came to fruition. Mostly through my own...
You make it sound like a really sad story.
It is for me.
The dream's still there. The dream's always there.
It'll always be there.
I dream about you every night, but I dream about beer as well.
Yeah.
Just for people listening.
It's too hard.
Me and Tom, basically started brewing beer.
Well, yeah, we brewed. How many did we brew in total, really? Because you did that one from the boys.
I carried on when you left me.
All right, okay.
I did some. What would you call them? Like
homebrew kits, though.
like breakup beers.
Was it
Full of tears.
when when I left? The last one you did was the one that you got from Boys, the homebrew kit.
Oh yeah,
which was like a Belgian style.
That was a lot easier to do than because we went straight in at the deep end.
Yeah, but that IPA that we made the first time round, I think like to taste it wasn't unbearable, was it?
It wasn't unbearable, but if you've ever tasted a beer with too much hops in,
yeah,
which you never will, but it's an experience. Tasting.
Christ, the amount of IPAs out there now that are basically like hairspray. They're just unpalatable to people who don't like IPAs. But if you fucking love IPAs, you go, oh well, this is just right. It's normal.
Yeah.
You think, well,
maybe ours was
it's probably
too early for the market then.
Well, I don't know. It could be marketable because people who are that obsessed with IPAs, like I say, they just go, oh well, this is fine. Yeah, it doesn't taste like beer should taste, but I like my beer with more hops than anything else. That's fine.
I've still got one laying around. The original mix, the OG one. If we want to crack it now and have a sniff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah.
I'm going to leave you with Tom chatting while I find this beer. He's got plenty of subjects. He's got loads of things.
Continue on the subject
He's got
of
loads
beer
of things he wants to talk
and what
about.
we wanted our brewery to be. It was supposed to be very successful and very lucrative, but it takes a massive industry, a huge factory, and a staff of around 200 to make it what you want it to be. But it doesn't really happen that way with two people in a kitchen. I think it takes time and effort and a lot of commitment, but neither of us had it, unfortunately. But the beer we did make was pretty good. I'm going to try some of it now. From what I remember of it, it was, like I say, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I think, what did we do wrong with it? There was something, it was to do with the gravity, wasn't it?
What have I missed? Gravity?
When we
moved on to fucking space, Tom.
No. The first beer that we made, when you were talking about the gravity, there was something wrong with because the gravity...
so you measure in order to get a percentage reading at the end, you need to measure the gravity at the beginning.
Right.
So it's got a specific gravity and a specific gravity at the end, which is basically a measure of how much sugar is in a liquid, and it gives you an idea of how alcoholic it is.
See, all this information is really useful, and I appreciate it, but I don't take it in at all. And that's what made me worried. I thought if I continue doing this, he's going to keep on saying stuff that's all really relevant, and I'm still not going to take it in. So I felt scared, and I felt worried about coming back here to do it again, because I'd be like, I'm just a sidekick. All I am is just a useless dickhead who stands in the kitchen. And maybe we'll stare something in a tub that might be useful, but really I add nothing to this process other than that I like beer.
Tom, you underestimate yourself as an apprentice.
Well, maybe, yeah. I think we didn't really give ourselves enough of a chance.
You give a magic vibe to the alcohol making zone, the kitchen, basically.
Who's to say? Until you've done it for like months in, months out, you can't really say who's going to be useful and who's not going to be. I think I was a coward about it, and I thought
you had a natural draw to it, a natural knack for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was something I always wanted to do, was make a beer, and I think we more or less did it, haven't we? It was more you than it was me, but I was there in the process of making it, and I feel like that's probably enough, because I don't trust myself to do it well enough.
Well, the opportunity is always there. So
yeah, that was a pipe dream. I hope this podcast isn't a pipe dream. I hope that it doesn't dissipate and die.
Yeah. No, well, we've got the podcast, we've got the beer. I mean, we could always combine the two, you know. So
yeah, we had during the process of making the beer, there was a lot of sticky floor situation, wasn't there? I think because there's a lot of sugar involved in the beer making process. Wasn't there a massive amount of sugar actually? Didn't we just pour loads of fucking sugar?
Yeah, so you basically get loads of grains, which grains are obviously like oats and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you wash them, and then you get all the sugars out of all the starchy sugars. and you spill that, and it's like spilling
Yeah,
fucking...
so we had a really, really sticky floor situation where we were just walking around sticking to the floor for about 3 hours.
But I think was you wearing a pair of Nikes at the time? I think your
Probably,
Nikes
yeah.
were just like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was like Velcro. It
It-
was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a quite a beautiful sound, Velcro.
yeah, it's quite sad.
As far as sounds go, as far
Yeah.
as short, snappy sounds, Velcro is...
What booze have you made since?
I'm mainly a country wine man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, have you made a lot recently or?
Yeah, I created dandelions.
Dandelion.
Dandelion wine.
Wine?
From a graveyard,
Wow.
because the graves make the best dandelions.
What corpses?
Yeah, they push some fucking sick dandelions, man.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, yellow,
that's
the most
interesting.
yellow ones you've ever seen.
That's fucked, isn't it? Really?
And
Dandelion.
that is one of the top 5 wines I've made, was that dandelion wine.
Fucking hell.
Um,
And it's from coming out of graves, basically.
basically, yeah, graveyard.
That's insane.
I was picking them, and at the time the council chap was cutting all the grass around the graves, as they do in spring, because grass grows quite quick.
Yeah.
And we made eye contact, and he's basically watching some chap with a Tesco's carrier bag frantically picking up dandelions from all around the graves, and I felt a connection with him. Maybe you knew what there was for. Maybe you knew that I was
dandelion wine.
going back to the nomad. Maybe you knew I was a nomad and had a massive respect. But he turned off, because obviously the council workers use petrol sit on lawnmowers,
Right.
and he switched it off. And he looked at me. I mean, we were talking like a good 50 yards distance, and he squinted at us and looked at us, and we just, when you make a connection, and he just stopped it, and he went for a break, and he gave me time to get the rest of those dandelions. It's a level of respect that you don't normally encounter in everyday life.
How far away from you was he? 50
About
50 yards?
About 50 yards.
50 yards, and you felt all that in that stare.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the fact that he turned off his lawnmower.
It gave you that opportunity to steal some dandelions from a graveside.
I wouldn't say steal, I would say...
Collect.
Collect,
Yeah, just politely collect. Because he thought, there goes a guy who might be living on his own accord, and I want him to have these dandelions to make his wine that he could then sell and have cash in hand to keep on living for another week or two. That's what you think went through, isn't it? I hope so.
I hope I've lived on in legend. I hope he's waiting for me there every year afterwards. Like a sighting of the other, like Bigfoot or something like that.
Yeah, I hope he dies soon.
Where's the man with the Tesco bag?
And the dream's dead. Yeah. I hope he's then in one of those graves and you pick the dandelions off his grave and it's a nice full circle thing.
It's a beautiful story, that.
Yeah. How does dandelion wine taste? Is it anything like dandelion in Burdock?
No, nothing
No, it
like
won't be, will it?
Nothing like it.
No. That's a massive disappointment for me as a lover of dandelion and Burdock.
I don't even know what burdock is.
No, what
is it another
Burdock?
plant? Is it another? I'm sure it's another consumable plant.
Fuck only knows. Maybe it's just, I don't know. What is Dr.
Maybe
Pepper?
it's an E number.
What's Dr. Pepper? Maybe,
An E number called burdock.
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
They put
there's
the
probably a
dandelion.
scientist called Dr. Burdock who
Yeah,
created a chemical and he put it with a load of dandelions and that became...
yeah. And he thought, right, this tastes like crap on its own.
Yeah.
What does it go with?
Yeah,
He
what's
managed to
Dr.
find-
Pepper? It's supposed to be a load of vegetable extract, isn't it? Or something like that. But
I
you
don't
can't really say. It's not, natural flavours at all. It's a load of fucking crap that's been thrown together to create something of a fruity taste. Would you say fruity?
Well, you've got to think, like, I mean, if you throw stuff together, what's the worst that could happen?
That was very good.
Right. I think we should crack this beer.
Yeah.
How long's it been?
A long time,
wasn't
yeah,
this,
'cause
it
I mean,
wasn't
I
this
think
Christmas.
the first
was
time
it
I
last
came-
Christmas?
Yeah, the first time I came round was when I got this phone, so I can date it. It was January of last year.
Alright, was that the first time you came round?
Yeah.
Alright, so it's only been a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is roughly a year old. This is one of the first brews that we made.
It's good size, isn't it? Yeah.
Fucking, it
How
looks
many-
crystal
how
clear,
many
but it is a
millilitres
brown
is
bottle.
that?
So,
That's well over a pint, isn't it? I'd say maybe a litre.
750, 750
Yeah,
mil.
it's maybe 750, yeah.
Right, let's crack it. I'm just going to get a glass.
You say we didn't carbonise it well enough because it didn't have any sort of carboniser, so there's no fizz to it at all. Is that right? There's no fizz? Oh, are you going to surprise me now? This is the one that has the fizz, isn't it? I kept this one especially for you, Tom. It's the only one with the fizz.
Right, so for our technical lovers of beer out there, if you don't have a massive factory, to get some fizz in that beer, you need to put sugar in when you cap the bottle, and the pressure just builds up naturally in the bottle.
Oh, that sounded hopeful,
Whereas
didn't it?
a brewery will inject like a soda stream. They'll artificially carbonate all
Just
the
put some
beers.
bubbles in it,
So
basically.
it's perfect
They'll
every single time.
Hand put the bubbles in.
Whereas, yeah,
Yeah, because
They'll-
bubbles you can just put them in, can't you? That's the way it works. And this is why I'm worried about making a beer myself, because I just don't do science. I don't understand.
there's
it.
fucking bubbles
That
in
looks
it there.
brilliant.
There's bubbles when I poured it anyway.
This is very exciting.
I'll let you try it. You can have the first.
Wow, fantastic.
So this is a year-old beer. It's probably off.
That tastes great. I'm really happy with that.
Is it alright, is it?
Yeah, that's
have a-
not bad at all, honestly. What sort of percentage do you think that is?
Have I marked on it? I'm gonna have a rough guess at about 4 or 5%.
That's fantastic.
At least 4.
That is mission accomplished for me. I'm really fucking happy about that.
Have a blast on it.
Yeah, it's really not as bad as anybody might think.
It smells very hoppy.
It does,
very
yeah, but I
hoppy.
mean, I think we did put a lot of hops in it. I think we probably overdid it on the hops because you don't need a lot at all, do you?
Oh, it's got a tickle of carbonation. It's not fizzy.
Yeah, it
It's
does,
not
doesn't it? I
fizzy.
think like, for some reason it does. Is that just because it's been left in the bottle for a long time? Do you think, or what?
Yeah, it's going to lose some carbonation from being in
No,
the
I
bottle
thought,
sometime.
if anything, because we first tried it, fresh off the batch, it didn't have any sort of fizz to it at all, did it?
Oh no, it was flat as
Yeah.
a fart.
So now it's gained some.
Yeah, it's gained some. It's gained some and probably lost some as well.
Yeah.
Whereas
It's
if
interesting,
if we picked it maybe like a month afterwards, 2 months afterwards of making it, it
Yeah.
might have had a bit more to it.
Yeah.
But it all depends on the sugar that you put in. You've got to kind of work it out. It's
Yeah.
maths and all that.
I know. This is why I couldn't do it because maths and science are not subjects I really enjoyed at school. Unfortunately, I just want to drink beer. I just want it to be simple, and I just throw a lot of stuff in a pot, and then that's beer. That's just beer. That's fine.
You think that's all we're building up to? Is the ability to drink beer?
Ability to drink. What do you mean? You ask me.
Do you think that the British educational system points us in that direction?
Well, all the maths and all the science is all leading to can you drink beer or not?
Yeah. We did fractional
Probably
distillation.
so. Yeah. That was probably the message in there. If
It's a
there's
message
anything
I
that
got.
you want to really take away from that, it would be quite valid. Because I mean, back in the day, back when alcohol was hard to come by, that'd have been really fucking useful, wouldn't it? You know, when pubs went around like they are now, and you knew basically what maths and science was.
You would have to go.
First thing you would go to was how do I make a beer? Because I know what a beer is, but barely anywhere sells it. It's probably like one of the foundations for maths and science in a way. We need to make something that we all enjoy on a mass scale. We need to do it right. So we have it entails quantity at a really finite extent, and it entails science at a really finite extent. So you've used those things to facilitate a necessity, really, haven't you? In a way, in ancient Greece, maybe. That's the only reason Pythagoras was doing his theorems, was just trying to
calculate booze.
Just perfect his own beer. Yeah, that's what he was doing.
Well, that's what the next one's called.
Aristotle was drunk out of his face, and various other Greek philosophers that have escaped me are all pissheads. Massive piss. One of the subjects on the list that I made was Brexit and the current state of UK politics. Now, you don't have to indulge that at all. We can abandon that straight away.
No, I can whet your appetite, because I know you've got
I feel like we're probably going to mostly agree on these things, probably. But I'll offer my outlook. Say what you want. Because of the way the election went on the EU referendum, and how unsuspecting that was for myself and many people alike, it's hit me hard. It's just to say, you're so sure that you're on the right wavelength, and most people agree with you, that you think, oh, no, it'll be fine, it'll be safe. Everyone thinks the same way as me, and that's all fine. And then you wake up the next day and it's all over the news. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. It's like there's someone pointing at you and saying, you're an idiot. I completely disagree with most of the things you said. Most people in the country don't agree with you at all. You're in your own little box and you feel like you're safe and you know what you're talking about amongst your own friends, but in reality, you haven't got a clue, basically.
Well, the EU referendum, the referendum came as a surprise in the first place. That came out of nowhere, I thought.
Yeah,
I don't understand why.
I didn't understand that.
Why Cameron was like,
no,
let's throw the option out there.
Yeah.
I don't really know what sparked it. I don't know whether he got some sort of top secret intel, or he did a fucking survey on Survey Monkey, and it was
what
like,
should I do next? Yeah. I don't know. Like private conversations amongst MPs. You don't know what's going on, really, do you? To a public perspective, you think an EU referendum basically came out of nowhere, like you say. But it was maybe on a public conscience, it was on a level that people were talking about it. It was out there, but not to the extent where it was predictable, where it would come out and it was like, right, we're going to have this vote on this.
It didn't seem as though it was at the point where people were in the streets fighting for...
No. It's like, it's about time we had an EU referendum, because I'm bloody sick of all these trade deals that we're benefiting from. It's just, it doesn't make any sense, but I'm obviously very biased from the beginning.
But he fucked off out of there pretty quick.
Yeah, of course he did. In a way...
He did the EU referendum and he was gone.
Yeah,
so maybe he did it for a good crack.
I thought from that it was a case of, I'll do this and it will win me some popularity when we win it, because it's a subject that keeps on coming up amongst MPs, where if everyone just votes to stay in the EU, it'll put it to bed basically, and I'll be fine. But it went the opposite direction. So it was, oh fuck, oh shit, now I'm not dealing with this. This is a clusterfuck to end all clusterfucks, and he was dead right, and I don't blame him for standing down. But he shouldn't have done it in the first place. But if you're constantly barraged by all these people saying it's about time we had a referendum on this because for this reason and that reason, but what goes on behind the scenes in terms of wealthy people, really wealthy people, it makes me think, well, it's pressured into it by stuff that you'll never see. Basically, it's beyond our conception.
I don't agree with the whole. Let's see what you think of this. I don't agree with any like Illuminati shit or.
No, I'm not saying Illuminati, but believe me,
any major government conspiracies.
No.
I think they're too dense and slur and just.
I watched a film.
Generally incapable of keeping any major secrets or plans.
I'm not talking about conspiracy theories. I want to make that loud and clear. But I think that Trump's past advisor,
Sounds like
I've forgotten the name,
theory
is
to me.
Bannon. I swear it's Bannon. His past advisor. Then he was fired as his advisor and became basically a figurehead for everything Brexit and everything anti-European Union for whatever reason. This is mainly for big business benefit, and this is probably long before the EU referendum. So it was long in the making, and it's rich people that stand to benefit from the break-up of a union such as the European Union.
Well, our British grandfather, Corbyn, was always anti-EU.
He was, yeah, that's interesting.
So maybe it has been bubbling up for quite a while.
Yeah, it's always been there, isn't it? It's always been an anti-EU premise. But for whatever reason, it came to a head in 2016. We had the referendum. I was so sure that it would be safe, and then the next day it wasn't at all. And it was the first hit hard where you go, fucking hell, I thought everyone agreed. I thought we were safe on that. And you go, oh Jesus, so I live amongst a lot of people in this country that don't agree with me at all, are completely different minded, and it's like, fucking hell, you have to readjust your assessment of everything that you know about the people you live with and work around and live around.
Well, the problem where we live is because we live quite close to the university. When we walked up to Sainsbury's, there was a lot of people handing out badges saying "I vote Remain." So as soon as you hit our main street, the vibe was like Remain, Remain, Remain.
It's a bubble. It's a horrible bubble. I think Hull really is a problem.
But
it's
there's an irony there, because we've voted majority Leave, and we've voted majority Tory as well.
No, we didn't. No, in what election? When did we vote majority Tory?
Wasn't it the last election?
No.
I did we not?
No. In the 2017 election, we voted Labour. In the
2016 was majority Remain. That one, majority
Leave. Yeah, Leave. we did vote to Leave, definitely. Yeah. But in general elections, we've always voted Labour. Hull is Labour through and through. Even in this one in December, despite the odds, we voted in all three constituencies as Labour, which makes you feel somewhat satisfied, but also a bit useless, really. You think, well, Grimsby voted in majority to go Tory for the first time in its history, basically, as far as I know.
He was too undecisive, though. He was an undecisive man. Was Grandpa.
It's a mess.
Grandad was... Because he is a granddad.
You're talking about Corbyn, yeah.
Of course I'm talking about Corbyn. Who else would I be talking about?
Nobody else, yeah.
Is the nation's grandpa.
Yeah.
He is. He's a soft man. Soft man, but with a strong heart. And the thing is he was always been anti-EU. He's joined the Labour Party as a leader, and now he doesn't know whether he's coming or going with the EU.
No, it's a horrible mixed message for everybody who sit and listen to 3 years of uncertainty with Brexit, and you think, well, what Labour are offering is more uncertainty. And you think, well, fuck it, no, I'm not going to fucking vote for that, for Christ's sake. They don't even know what they want. They want another vote on Brexit. They want another referendum, because they basically said in the manifesto, the Conservative deal isn't good enough for Brexit, which is true. So what we'll offer is, do you want our deal, which we're going to get because we're Labour and we'll get a better deal because why not? Or do you want no leave of the EU whatsoever? Do you want a second referendum, basically? And to everybody in the public, that sounded like a catastrophe. You think, well, for fuck's sake, you've had 3 years of uncertainty and you want more uncertainty. It's, at a public level, it's a fucking shit show. An absolute shit show. And I was blindfolded into it, and I thought, Christ, yeah, I love Grandad. he's lovely, isn't he? I'll sit on his knee and I'll buy into everything he's got to say because he's lovely. But realistically, it's not going to sell. It's not going to work at all. And what you are talking about is outright socialism, and it's too far left. It doesn't work.
It hyped up his policies too much. His policies were in the real world they were unrealistic. Right?
Well, I don't know. They sound idyllic. They sound fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
don't
they sound idyllic, but they were, when you break them down, they were unrealistic.
I don't know.
So what you should have done was been a little bit more honest. I mean, you've got to hype up your policies in the first place. You've got to give them, you've got to double them, whatever it is. If we're going to give 1 million here, you double it. It's 2 million. If we're going to build so many houses, double it. We're going to build.
Nobody believes it. Nobody.
Yeah, but you've always got to upsell. You've always got to hype up your policies.
Yeah, of course you are.
Even to the point
it
of
it was all in the manifesto. It was all over fucking social media.
There was no way he would have fulfilled his manifesto within 4 years.
No,
not a chance. He would have needed another term in government to fulfil his manifesto.
I was buying into the idea that you would just tax people over 80 grand a year, a little bit more, and that will just solve all the problems. And that was as simple as. And that's what I had to actually explain to people. On a weekly, daily basis, it's fine because you nothing to do with people earning that money, so you don't know. So to them, it's not a lot of money. It'll be fine. That'll pay for National Rail. We'll unprivatise National Rail. We'll have it all. It'll be fine. And broadband will be free for everybody, and we'll have no tuition fees for everybody at university, and that'll be fine. Honestly, look at me. It'll be fine.
I'm looking at you, Tom.
And and it was hard, and it's I knew in the back of my mind this is a lot to fucking ask. And from the beginning of their manifesto, for everything they wanted to promise, they said it was radical. They said it was the most radical.
It is radical.
Series of policies and series of changes that they wanted to introduce, and was that appropriate at a time of transition in UK politics?
There we go. Maybe that's the
be all and end all of it.
That's the point.
You should have aimed low.
That's a hit point.
What Labour should have done is aim very, very low and said, right, what we'll do is we'll stick by the people and get Brexit done in our own way. We won't talk about a second referendum.
What he should have done is pipe the fuck down and gone for the next election once we was out of the EU. And then he might have had a chance.
Yeah.
Because this was the problem with the Lib Dems when we went into a coalition government. I feel, personally, that if the Lib Dems would have held back and gone, not a chance, we're doing a coalition government, they would have had a hell of a lot more respect. And in turn, I believe that they could have potentially ran a government just a majority Liberal Democrats at some point.
I think it was so badly done. I think it's a real shame. It's a dying shame that something that it all sounded great in principle, and I really bought into it. It was never, ever, ever realistic, and I feel ashamed that I was so sort of trapped in this little box of my own where I thought all these people who I know are saying the same things. So what can go wrong? And this is the problem with social media. This is the problem with modern day life, where you're not counteracting with the community that you live in. You don't know people on your next door. You don't know the people on your doorstep at all. You're completely fogged over as to what is really going on around you. What you really should have done, if you're a Labour supporter, if you're a Labour member, is go down to Grimsby in a big bus and start shouting at people in the face, in the street, and gone, why the fuck are you voting Conservative in Grimsby? What the fuck are you talking about? Do you really think you're going to win the fucking fishing industry back? Do you really think Iceland are going to hand it over back to you when we can get Brexit done and all the rest of the fucking bullshit?
You're very passionate about it.
Yeah, I think it's too little too late, unfortunately. It's very easy to say all these things in hindsight and get all passionate about it, but it's only because you know of all the things you did wrong, basically.
It's too much of a dynamic concept to break down to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You can cry if you want to.
No, it's done now, isn't it? The damage is done. You can't change a massive majority of people like that. And the result that Labour got is embarrassing.
Absolutely. It was embarrassing, but what damage has been done? You can't predict what damage Labour would have done.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I don't know. You're at a position where you have to deliver Brexit because that's what people voted for in a majority, which is potentially damaging because you're probably going to give yourself a time limit. Boris has given himself a time limit to say it's going to be done by the end of the year, and it isn't enough time. So you're probably going to look by the end of this year more like a no-deal Brexit than you are as a nice little deal Brexit. So you are looking at potentially damaging businesses through lack of proper trade deals, through lack of this, lack of this, lack of that. Basically, you haven't got enough time to negotiate with every single country in the EU as to a perfect way to do this. It's too complicated, and people think it's all simple, and it really isn't.
Well, I'm going to take the glass half full, and even though we're stuck with a situation where Big B, Big Bozzer's in, I believe, as retarded as he can connect on a level with other world leaders, because some other world leaders are on his level. I mean, Trump.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Jeremy and Trump in the same room?
No, you can't, because he wouldn't.
But you can imagine Boris and Trump in the same room. So,
yeah,
so Boris can do the talks with Trump, and then, like we said, Jeremy, Grandad, hand on heart, lovely man, should have gone for the big wins.
I don't know how Jeremy Corbyn would have gone about that in a way that would have been beneficial to him. I think it was always doing from the start. It was always doing. He never should have been leader, despite being voted for the leader of Labour twice. It never should have been him, because he's a terrorist. He's a communist, and he's gonna kill us all. And that's what everybody says all the time for no apparent reason. Well, because the Sun said. It's all sad. I think that the be all and end all of it is that you look at a bloke who's 70 something, and you feel sorry for him, and you think he's trying to do the right thing, and he's been berated by a lot of evil press, and you feel like, fucking hell, there's got to be some way to counteract this, but there isn't. People buy into it.
Have you got a bit of crush on Jeremy?
Yeah, I'd probably have sex with him. Yeah.
How much do you like him? Tell me how much you like him.
It's creeping out because you've gone off. Yeah, I don't know what you're doing. It's no.
Come on, Tom.
No.
How much? My question to you is, how much do you like Jeremy Corbyn?
Now that he's failed, I don't care anymore. He's in the past, isn't he? He's been and gone. I appreciate what he had to say, but it was too radical.
If he was in the room with him right now, if he walked through the door into the studio,
he's an intelligent bloke.
He sat down with you on the settee. He just sat on the arm of the chair and he put his arm around you. He said, "Tom, just talk to me." What would you say to him? It doesn't have to be about politics. It can be about anything.
He's an Arsenal supporter, I know that. I wouldn't talk to him about that. I'd ask him what his favourite beer was, and then it'd be awkward for about 5 or 10 minutes because I wouldn't have anything else to ask him really, because there'd be no point. I'd ask him if he uses any beard grooming kit to maintain that sort of level of beard, because it doesn't seem to have changed in the entire time that I've seen him. I'd ask him how old he was actually, because I've not actually looked that up myself, and I do worry that he's in his 80s instead of 70s, because if he is in his 80s he's probably a little bit senile, and it would explain a lot, really.
That's our bedtime story by Tom.
Going forward though, the Labour Party has a leadership campaign in its midst. Keir Starmer is the current favourite. I don't know how much you know about him. I'm hoping you know more than me, but
I know nothing. I know nothing about
he's
him. So,
very well respected, and he's only been in politics for a short amount of time. But I think he's knighted. I think it's Keir Starmer. He's very prominent in everything he does. I'm not sure about this, but I think he's probably still a little bit too left, a little bit too socialist for people to really actually vote for him. And my favourite...
I don't understand this fear of socialism.
Well, I think it doesn't work. It's the same in America at the moment with Bernie Sanders.
Why doesn't it work? I know communism doesn't work, but why doesn't socialism work?
People are that...
Or aspects of socialism. We need to keep capitalism, because we know that works.
Yeah.
It only goes in one direction though. I mean, if you look at Jeff Bezos and that fucking ginger nonce twat, Facebook man, then it does go in one direction. It needs to be stopped at some point.
Yeah.
I know you have the act on monopolies, but at the end of the day, Facebook just breaks it up into different companies. It's still a bloody monopoly.
You say the word socialism and everybody reacts as if to say, oh no, the Nazis were socialists, and this is actually something that people say on a regular basis. The Nazis were socialists. No, they weren't. They use the word socialist for their own gain, basically, and it's a common misconception. But to idiots, they go, yeah, that's what socialism is. It's Nazis. And they look at you in the face and they say that.
Yeah.
And it's like, because they can't be asked to look it up, and you just think, well, I've heard one thing once upon a time. That's good enough, basically. That's one of the reasons why it fails. Other than that, it's because people are just unused to the word.
They also have nationalist in the name as well.
Yeah. It's poor reasoning, really is. But yeah, this is the reason why Bernie Sanders will never win an election in the US, because he's far too left, much as Corbyn was. It's just too scary for people. People like a maintenance of the norm. They don't like something too drastic, to one way or the other. It's just the same as if you turned up as Hitler. You dressed as Hitler and you went, I'm running for Parliament. And you went, I can't do that. That's extreme. I turned up as Stalin, basically, and did the opposite.
You do like your European politics and history?
It's only because it's out of necessity more than it is out of an interest of my own. Because it's all over the news all the time. You can't escape it, really. It's one of those things.
Is this the attraction to the nomadic lifestyle?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, this was the way the conversation was supposed to go between you and me. It was supposed to go... It's supposed to go UK politics, Brexit. What would you do after all of it? You know, when we leave the EU and it goes badly, would you consider living on an island somewhere far away from it all? And that's just, it's not the right outlook, is it? Because you have to believe that it won't be as bad as that.
By the sounds of it, you're selling, if I get this right, you're selling Tom's dream on an island. Is that where we're going with this?
Tom's dream? Where's that come from? I've got no dream for anybody. If anything, I've said the opposite. I don't want anybody there with me at all.
I thought it's been a progression, so you've basically buttered people up to the idea of nomadic lifestyle. You've broken down the British political system and said how crap it is. And then you've talked about, very briefly, about living on an island. And you may be trying to start a cult. And maybe using
no, because I mean the way the conversation about the subject of nomadism worked out, which I probably could have predicted, is that it was never going to work, and I would end up being jealous of people who live like that, and I couldn't do it myself, and I think it was always predictable. So no, I don't know. I would like another war, really. I'd like a massive decrease of population, because it'd make traffic a lot easier. There'd be a lot more food about, and people really appreciate each other. Another massive war, World War III, bigger than World War II and one. Massive population decrease. Start again. That'd be alright, wouldn't it? I think it's not far off. It's not too much to ask, is it? If you push the Middle East far enough, just a little bit more, just bomb Iran one or two more times. Probably just once, actually. Once would be all it took. The fact that they took down that plane that was supposed to take off for the Ukraine and said it was a mistake was hilarious. Imagine you're trying to excuse that. And you say, well, we've all done it, haven't we? We've all been stood at an airport in Iran, and there's a plane about to take off for the Ukraine, and you're stood there with a bazooka, and you thought, I'll take that down. I'll take it down, yeah. Why should it go to the Ukraine? Why should it? Because that's what they said. They said it was a mistake. And it was obvious that they shot down the wrong plane. They thought it was going to the US because it had a U in it, presumably. It was somebody who was illiterate.
Well, it's the same as the where they poisoned the people in Britain, and it's like no, we didn't do it. Well, even though they're blatantly they've got that face.
Yeah, it's a very obvious what's happened, and to say that it was a mistake, to say that it was anything but ultimately deliberate, and we know what you're doing, it's very obvious. Just admit to it. Just say it. Like, we took down a plane because we're angry at the US, and we thought we knew what we were doing, but you didn't.
Well, I'm sure you can get the samurai sword out of storage.
Have you seen the scenes in Iran shortly after they killed what's his name, a massive military leader, Soleimani? It was bigger than Woodstock. Basically, it was a massive fucking fanfare of people just literally going fucking insane in Iran, saying, we need to do something about this. This is insane. We demand vengeance. And so they went and they bombed that US base, wasn't it? Not a US base, but somewhere where they thought there were US soldiers, and it turned out that they killed no one. They just bombed somewhere for the sake of it, and then they took down the plane that was leaving for the Ukraine, and that was the vengeance, and that was it. And they've basically said, we're happy now, that's alright. We've not killed anyone, apart from the people who were completely innocent.
Yeah, a lot of innocent people.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking grim, that, Tom. That is
Yeah.
very grim.
Well, it is, but I mean, Trump's reasoning for killing who he killed is that there was a long history of communication between him and that bloke where he said, you need to step off, you need to stop killing people, stop doing it, and he kept on doing it, and that's why Trump killed him. So the Americans say. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but it is what it is. I completely forgot the main point of what I was trying to say.
It started off with Brexit.
Such a tangent, basically. Turned into fucking jammy.
I was going to say that. Basically.
Right. Yeah.
Give us a breakdown.
You have to bomb somebody.
Nuke the whales.
Yeah. You have to nuke the whales.
We've been nuking the Pacific for years, aren't we? Decades.
Exactly. Got to nuke some, haven't you?
Fucked up that coral reef.
Yeah.
Go on, you got to nuke some.
Yeah.
Finish on something positive, Tom.
Do you want to finish? You said you call an end to it. That's what you're saying. How many minutes we got?
Not an end in an emotional way. Just an end to the podcast.
That's what I'm saying. How many minutes we got? We've got nearly an hour and a half. A good podcast is 3 hours.
We're not having fun.
How do you feel about Netflix?
I was going to say that's the first silence.
What do you mean the first silence?
It's the first silence in the whole.
Yeah,
podcast.
surprisingly it was. Yeah, we'll obviously edited that out, but Netflix. Do you have Netflix?
Yeah.
What do you watch on it? Everything.
What do we watch on it? I can't even remember what I don't even know.
Do you watch most popular things that people talk about? Because I go to work and people are talking about things they've seen on there all the time, and it's mostly crime documentaries. They're a big thing amongst people I know at work.
Yeah, British ones. Personally, British ones are good.
But American ones too. But this big one at the moment is You Don't Fuck with Cats. I don't know if you've seen that at all.
No, I know the concept of the story and it sounds awful.
Yeah, that's what I took from it as well, and it gives me the impression, knowing all the detail about what goes on in that documentary, it's just some weirdo who kills a cat and the police find it and they go, oh, this is fucking weird. And it turns out when he kills people as well, and it's about the chase of this guy who kills people, basically, and that's somewhat interesting. But I get the feeling now Netflix is at that a height where you could film a TED for 30 minutes and put it on Netflix, and people would go to work and tell other people about it, and it would people watch it as well.
I see where you're coming from.
Because it's that popular at the moment, like you could just literally film fucking anything.
And
it's like all the while, all these things have been on normal TV all the time, like crime documentaries have been on Channel 4 since I remember. It's nothing new, but
but entertainment is entertainment.
I think it's just like having it on the streaming service.
You have to divide yourself. You have to divide your time, don't you? So
Yeah.
if you go on Twitter, you've got the twats on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to associate with that, then you go in that direction, and you associate yourself with all the drama that involves that. But there is the other side of any social media, including Netflix as well, entertainment streaming services, where there is a side where it is informative and it consists of some form of intelligent conversation. But you've got to cater for the split in people's interests.
I think it's gay and really trend following, and I think it's annoying because I think it used to be a case of...
That's slightly ironic coming from an influencer.
You would, back in the day, you'd put on channel 1, 2, 3 or 4 and you'd deal with what was offered to you, and then Freeview came about and you might branch out and watch Dave or something like that. Now Netflix is here, everyone thinks it's the be all and end all, like, oh, whatever Netflix has got to offer, I've got to watch because I pay money for it, and this is fantastic. I don't pay 30 odd quid a month for Sky, but I pay a tenner for Netflix, and that's great. That's fantastic because it's got something to offer. But has it really? I don't think it's that credible. Is what I'm suggesting. I don't think it's that good. I think the people behind it don't really know what they're doing.
It's better than Sky.
Probably.
Look at where Sky is now.
Probably.
Look at where Sky was in the 90s.
But he survived all this time, so you can't necessarily say that.
It's a company. Yeah, it's a
sports and films.
It's a company
and all the
that's
rest of it.
clinging on. It's like Virgin.
Sky is worried.
I know
obviously.
Virgin's a massive company, but they've lost they had a fleet of planes. They had rail.
I'm not talking about Virgin. Don't get us with the fucking Virgin. Christ, I don't want to talk about Richard Branson at all. That's a different subject altogether.
Do you remember when he popped out a little capsule?
No, I don't want to talk about it.
He fell out it, didn't he?
No,
fucking fell out it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who is a dickhead. You're fired.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Alan Sugar.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, Alan Sugar, I'm gonna fucking break your face wide open.
I hope so.
No,
that'd be a achievement, wouldn't it? Imagine if that.
I think it's a disgrace of a human being.
You mean Sarah Alan Sugar?
Sarah Alan Sugar. Yeah.
He's United as well. It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
He was Queen's advisor at one point.
Yeah, his comments that he's made on the on the class system and stuff like that.
I'm sure he's a cunt.
Yeah.
When you watch The Apprentice and he's sat there with tobacco-stained fingers, judging other people, going on about
I'm younger than him. I'm younger than him, Tom.
What?
And I know a couple of moves from karate from YouTube, and I'll fucking bang him.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, If the apprentice is anything to go by, then yeah, he's an awful human being. That's
Is it
all
not?
I know of him. I'm not paid any
Why,
more
why does
interest.
he need the money from filming a show like that? It's his pure ego.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't
He's
know.
wanking to
You
his
could
own
argue,
success, Tom.
yeah, probably.
Did we record? I hope that makes that's contextual. Yeah, he's wanking to his own success. Yeah, maybe he's getting the apprentices to do it.
The American equivalent of apprentice is Trump. Trump used to do the U.S. Apprentice, didn't he? And now
He's a joke, though, isn't he?
And he's president of the U.S. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
right. I think Tom has got off his high horse about politics. Have you, Tom?
yes.
He's alright now. He's alright now.
I did enough on that subject.
He did well, though. He did well.
Yeah.
So I thought you needed counselling halfway through, but
It's one of those that it was unavoidable in a way because I think it's very topical, isn't it? It's hard to avoid. It's an indulgent subject that I like to get involved with, but at the same time don't like to get involved with. It's a necessity. It's like going for a piss.
very topical indeed.
Yeah, you have to do it.
Like sunscreen.
Not that
very
urinating
topical.
is topical. You know what I mean.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a connection.
Yeah.
Definitely got a connection.
This has been fantastic, isn't it? If you want to sign off now, if you want to draw this to an end, then that's fine. I don't mind.
Quick word from our sponsor first,
Yeah. Quick shout out to what's your local?
My local is the National Pub.
National.
I would like to shout that out.
Actually, nah, I laugh, but they do good food in the National. They do alright food.
You say good,
normal pub food.
but it's not good
average
as
pub
such. It's edible. You know, it's food, definitely food. But it's been done mostly in a microwave or quickly on a grill, and it's just about worth the money.
Do it with a new ring.
As Tom's promotion.
So if you want to come down to the National, believe me, you'll be able to eat the food.
If you're not really into food and you're more into beer,
if you feel like punishing
ales,
yourself,
lagers,
you feel like I don't deserve a good meal, I'll go to the National because I don't know. It's just about bearable. Just about bearable
is a tagline for National
Yeah.
Pub.
And they might have some football on the TV. If you like football, there's a big screen TV, but that's in
Everyone
one half
loves
of the
balls.
pub
Everyone
where
loves balls.
it's mainly male dominated and it's not family friendly. So it's difficult. It's not for everybody.
That's a conversation for another day, actually.
It is, yeah.
But I believe if you get a ball, any human can create a game. I think it's our characteristic. If there is any other alien species within the universe and they look upon us, they will soon realise that we absolutely love balls. We love kicking balls. We love smacking balls with different implements, like balls. If games and balls are just hand in hand, and humans know how to incorporate balls and other implements to create a game.
It's fantastic, isn't it? What we've done with balls. I'll say that.
Yeah, we've rinsed the balls.
Yeah,
definitely.
and you can go to a pub and you can enjoy balls on a screen if you want to.
Well, they used to do.
In HD.
Is
in
it
HD? Yeah,
is it
yeah,
bowling?
sometimes 4K if you're lucky.
Right, but that's the hopefully the first of many of Tom's.
I've enjoyed it. It's been brilliant.
Tom's ASMR
I've learnt a lot.
turns.
Yeah.
Tom's learnt a lot.
I'm sorry about my own voice if it's been a displeasure for anybody else, but I'll try again some other time. We'll see how it goes.
Well, it's been a displeasure for us both. Thanks for having you, Tom.
I don't know if displeasure is even a word. Right.
Do you mean you get a quick shout or what?
Right, see you later. Bye bye.